Hope everyone's having a great day. This is Jillian Miller, one of the chairs of the Blues and Barbecue Festival. We're glad you're tuning in. And if you've been tuning in for a while now, you know that we are interviewing committee members of the festival today for a behind-the-scenes look of what goes on a regular year for Blues and Barbecue preparation. I am joined now by Jennie Garner. She has been charged with the green initiatives of our festival, and she's going to share some of the practices we have in place. So welcome, Jennie.
Thank you. As Jillian said, I am Jennie Garner. I've been on the Blues Committee since the inception, way back 14 years ago in 2006, I believe was the first year. Time flies. Blues and Barbecue started off with a really small footprint. We thought we would have about 500 people, and I believe we had closer to 2,000 that first year. But we did, even that first year, at least try to make an attempt to recycle. There was not a composting program in North Liberty at the time, but we were able to borrow some crisscross recycle bins that did not stand up very well back then. And they're sort of wire things with bags hanging off of them, and we had them around the park, placed around the park, and hammered into the ground so that they wouldn't blow away. It didn't work really great, but we at least had some measure of recycling back in the day. That effort took a bigger picture as we started to look at how we could leave a smaller footprint and do as much recycling and composting as possible with our local partners such as Johnson County Refuse. Johnson County Refuse began a composting program in North Liberty a few years ago, so we were able to jump on with them, asking for their help, and they were a fantastic partner, along with EcoCare out of Coralville. EcoCare provides green materials for all local restaurants and other places, including cleaning supplies and things like that. So they were willing to jump on and sell their products at cost to our vendors or at a discounted rate so that our food vendors could purchase all compostable products. So when we started this, the first couple of years was a little hiccupy, but the vendors jumped on board. They were really fantastic about being willing to do this with us. We worked on the signage each year to make it a little friendlier and quicker to understand, so that a quick glance from the public, who have also, I'd have to say, a great thank you to the public for taking the time to read those signs and drop their compostables in the correct place along with the recycles. So we have 3 bins set up in a row throughout the park. I think the last year we had 18 to 20 perhaps, maybe even more than that. And we map those out so that they're in strategic locations so that folks don't have to walk too far to put their stuff in there. And if you don't know it, almost everything from the vendors would recycle, either recycles or composts. We ask them to pass nothing over that does not do that. So very little is actually waste. They are able to recycle all. If you're not composting, which you can compost your food, you can compost your plate, your napkin, even your cups, if you're in the beer garden, are compostable. So that was a fantastic thing that we were able to do. And we did divert almost 2 tons of trash last year from the trash to compost and recycle. With Johnson County Refuse help. That day they come out and help us with their big giant rollaway containers, and we have a slew of volunteers. Our green team takes a lot of effort from volunteers. I can't even tell you the numbers, but we work in pairs of 2 throughout the day, multiple pairs driving around on golf carts and also in our beer garden and collecting things that are left on tables, wiping up those tables, keeping things looking clean and neat throughout the park, so that the next day our cleanup is a little smoother and easier to do, which is always helpful. And
it certainly is a group effort, as you've mentioned. You've got EcoCare and Johnson County Refuse, all the volunteers and the food vendors being on board. We're not the only festival, in the area that has green initiatives, but we have been really successful at it, and that is credit to all those people, including the public, caring.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the effort.
Said 2 tons of trash.
Together. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what does when does the trash team start getting ready to set up for blues, and then what does the cleanup the day after look like? What's the process?
So now that we had the Pig and Pint event on Friday nights, they start on even on Thursday night getting things set up so that at least when we're at the Pig and Pint, we can also do the same process. Even the bags that they put into those containers are compostable, so that's helpful for us. And Johnson County Refuse donates those bags. They're a little bit touchy. They don't last from year to year, so we try to use as few as possible throughout the day, but it takes a lot of, if you've been out there on a given day, it's a constant rotation throughout the whole day. They don't come super early in the morning because we're not quite as busy first thing in the morning, but starting around 11, 12 o'clock, we have teams working throughout the park driving their golf carts, and those are also have in the past years been donated by Liberty Motors here in town, and most recently I think we've had to kind of get some of those ourselves from other places, just because we can't keep up with the supply and demand of all the effort that it takes to run the whole entire festival with volunteers and the needs for those golf carts and the gators to get around.
Yeah, it's certainly a big job hauling all
Yeah.
of those and emptying those trash bins. They fill up quicker than you think. And shout out to the volunteers that are lifting out everyone's trash and putting them in the appropriate containers. They also spend time just wiping down tables throughout the day in between emptying cans just to keep the event clean. So
Yep.
if you volunteered for the green team before, it's thanks to you that so many people compliment the festival for being clean.
Yes, and we do. We do appreciate it. We've had different things where we've had different color shirts for the green team on certain years, and just worked with them. And it's always great to see return volunteers too. That's always fun. We have a group. Mm-hmm. We have some dedicated volunteers who come back every year and work that. And some of them work multiple shifts, so they're working even sometimes 4 to 6 hours a day, helping out with that. So pretty fantastic.
What you're a North Liberty resident yourself, Jennie. So what mm-hmm. makes blues and barbecue so special for you and for your family?
I think for me the best part about blues is actually the gathering of all the community members who immediately jump on the option to volunteer, the opportunity throughout the day to volunteer and work together as a team to make blues happen. The planning behind the scenes is always fun throughout the year too, and I've taken a couple years sabbatical. I always say that I'm going to take a sabbatical, and every year I can't help myself and I jump right back in, because it is such a community effort, and it feels so good to be part of that blues community, the group that works out there, and seeing all the faces of everyone who comes and really enjoys it, and the comments that come out afterward from people near and far who come to the area just for that event. So that's probably the best thing for me. As far as family, we actually last year, my son and daughter are now old enough, and my son's wife, they volunteered with me on Friday night to work at the Pig and Pint, and that was a lot of fun too, to just make that a family event. I have yet to drag my husband out there, but he's not so big on the crowd, so he just listens to my stories from home.
Yeah. Well, as you talked about the sabbatical, Jennie, you've been a part of blues since the beginning in one way or another, and you've had various committee roles, whether sponsorship or general operational planning, and now helping lead the green effort. So thank you so much for your work over the years, and hope we can all gather again in the park next summer. We are ending each committee interview today asking what track you want to hear next. So what song would you like to hear on the station?
I would love to hear Anderson East, Devil in Me. He is one of my favorites.
Awesome. Anderson East was our headliner, I believe, in 2017. So let's hear him.